Hello, everybody. Welcome to Office Hours. Welcome, welcome. Let us know where you're
Hi.
coming in from. I see Germany, Phoenix, Guatemala. I love how varied the audience is here. Welcome, welcome. So today I'm here with Frances O'Dara Matthews from the Notion Bar. I think we've got a lot of your fans here today, so lots of people are excited to see your workspaces. Amazing. And so Frances, I'd love to know a little bit, because I don't actually know about your kind of journey into Notion, but I know the Notion Bar kind of popped up. And so I feel like you've obviously built a whole brand around Notion. So tell me a little bit about kind of how the Notion Bar started and kind of how you got pulled into Notion.
So I got first of all, hi everyone. Excited to see you. So background about me is that I used to live in America before I moved back to the UK. I went there for university, and so all 4 years in Ohio, Kenyon College. Woo. And then I lived in DC for a year. I worked where I ended up sort of stumbling into the tech world, where I worked with a UX agency there, quite like fancy UX agency, and ended up doing like operations for them. First day, I was like, what's a wireframe? I don't understand. My background is events. But anyways, I'm really organized. Generally, I'm still a project manager now as my day job. And I was just sort of absorbing all of this UX information and everything. And then I used Google Drive at the time to like organize our whole company. I was so proud of the system that I had built, really chuffed with it. And then one day the CEO was like, okay, so there's this thing called Notion, and who I'm probably going to send this video to later. So, hey, there's this thing called Notion and you need to learn it. I was like, okay.
Were you resistant, or were you like, but I've got all of our stuff set up in Google. I don't want to learn something new.
Literally, I was like, okay, fine. Sort of got forced into watching a lot of YouTube videos on Notion. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I ended up having to sort of build a team homepage, which is my job for a UX, for like a very good UX agency. So lots of opinions, if you can imagine, lots of opinions. So like it was sort of trial by fire in terms of like Notion building. I think that process, like working for a UX agency at the time and also building out Notion, sort of spearheaded the rest of how I use Notion. And so moving back to the UK, I actually used Notion to get my job that I have now, because I created a portfolio on Notion, which is a template that I have, and they loved it. And now we use Notion. And then I wasn't really using it recreationally over the past few years, in between moving back from America back to the UK. And just lockdown, I got really bored, made a Fiverr account and started consulting, because I was like, hey, I'm like pretty good at this Notion thing. I don't really do it a lot, but like people might want this or something.
Let's see if they'll pay me for it. Yeah.
And then I kind of stumbled on the Notion community. I was like, oh, this is a whole thing. I had no idea. And eventually, just whilst I was still doing Fiverr bits and pieces, it's all kind of a blur, but I was like made really good Notion friends, like Alex the Notioneer. And like one day we're just like brainstorming, like bouncing off each other. And I was like, I'm going to make this thing called the Notion Bar. It's going to be a website. And I didn't really know where I was going with it. And then months and months down the line, here we are, basically. Basically. So the Notion Bar is sort of a baby of mine that's it's only probably like half a year old, really. So
wow.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious how much of your time is spent, like you've got your full-time job, but then also in kind of evenings and weekends, you're also doing this Notion consulting and template making?
So mainly template making. I haven't really done consulting properly in a while, like little tiny bits here and there, just because I did it quite a lot at the beginning. And again, you said I work full time. I completely burned out. I was it was not a good time. So I haven't done consulting properly in a while. Maybe if the right project comes along, like I'm really interested in like the lifestyle and fashion and beauty space, like influencers, bloggers, that kind of thing. Maybe something like that in the future. But if the right thing comes along, I'll go back into sort of side consulting. But yeah, templates.
So it's been mostly templates, gorgeous templates. I know you got a number for free and for sale. And so I know we're going to dig in today to kind of show, like I think all of your spaces obviously are so beautiful. They're probably inspired by that UX background that you have. And so I'm going to leave it to you to kind of show the spaces that you're most excited to share with the crowd today. So let's do a screen share and you can dive in wherever you want.
Yeah, thank you. I'm watching the comments as well. So if you want me to talk about I have 2 screens set up. So if I look really weird, or if I'm looking up and down, sorry. But if you want me to cover anything specific, just let me know as I'm going through it. I'm going to be walking through the Notion bar and the templates that I have set up. So that's both free and paid. Again, paid still isn't very much. I'm very conscious of people's money at this time. And I'm also going to be walking through a really special project that some of you may have heard or seen me tweet about a lot this week, called the Happiness Bar. So it's a gratitude journal that I built for 2021. It's community-led and there's self-care tips from all of you in there as well. I don't want to spoil it, but let's dive into the Notion bar.
Awesome.
Right. So essentially, this is the Notion bar, and something that I really love about my Notion work and specifically is that I try and put a lot of personality into it. So even I have these 4 main characters who I want to use a lot more in the future, but just kind of adding personal touches such as personalized headers or even like GIFs. I'm obsessed with GIFs, if people don't know this. It just really brings the space alive, I would say.
And so just to clarify for anyone that might not realize, this is a Notion page, but you're using a custom domain to point to this. So it's like a public Notion page with Fruition or Super?
Yeah. I use Super. Right now we're looking at the Notion backend per se, just because it's easier to show for the purpose of this presentation. But I use Super to publish my content. And so right now I'm a project manager for an e-commerce agency. And so I spend a lot of time looking at websites. I think I know the Shopify theme library by now back to front. But essentially a lot of my work is also inspired by websites and how e-commerce websites work. So the filtering and kind of what works best for conversion in terms of where to put information, how your eye is drawn to things. And so I kind of pull in all of those neat tips and tricks. And I think, okay, but how could I do that in Notion, for example? So for example, on a lot of e-commerce websites, there's this concept of above the fold. And so the most important information you have is at the top. Before the user scrolls down. So at the Notion bar, I have sort of a little bit about me as you enter the site, and as well as for the purpose of mobile, the thing that I'm trying to drive right now, or was trying to drive right now, was this crowdcast stream, which means in mobile, the top left, I guess, block is the most important thing. And so that's where you should put the most important piece of information. essentially. Again, sorry if I'm not making sense today. I have a headache, so my sentences may be a bit off.
No, you're great.
So yeah, just lots of color. I really like playing around with blank space as well in Notion. And so, for example, I'm just going to show you what a good block and a bad block looks like. So this is currently a good block. I'm going to turn it into a bad block if everyone can see. Right. So immediately you had this block here with the information all scrunched up. And then if you compare that to the other two, it's just a world of difference, essentially. And so a nice way with these sort of colored black background blocks is just to space the information out, essentially.
And is that a call out block?
That is a call out. This is a call out block. This is a call out block. So, okay, I was just trying to fix it. So this is a call out block. Then as you scroll down, you've got these two kind of columns here. I could have kind of gone for a long form page, but I didn't really want to, as the purpose of my site specifically is just to access information really quickly, which is why I've gone for these headers. So you can kind of immediately see the headers that you're interested in and the information underneath. A fun thing on my site, I don't know if anyone's used it, but whilst you're browsing, you can access some of my WorkBrain. You can access some of my Spotify playlists, so you can kind of boogie as you browse, I suppose. But yeah, so yeah, this is another example. I love using toggles in all my spaces. I think it just makes the space a lot more serene in terms of you can focus in on what you need to, and then you can hide it away as well, which is great. It makes me feel a lot calmer. I know. Indeed. I know Teresa is on Crowdcast next week talking about mindful workflow, so I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
And over here, so I've got an embed of the happiness bar. So which of literally the entire happiness bar website. I don't know if many people know this, but you can embed literal web pages on Notion pages, which is insane, I think, to be honest.
And so is that like a Notion website embedded inside a Notion website?
A Notion website on Super embedded on a Notion website. So I didn't even know you could do such a thing, but I literally did it like this morning. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So this is fun. Another great thing which I love about this, yes, Ashley, so meta. Another great thing which I love about this page, which saves me so much time, is that these call out blocks here are global blocks. And so if people aren't familiar with the concept of a global block, there are so many articles and videos out there on how to set them up, but it's basically a way to hack Notion URLs. So the URL I would get if I clicked on copy link, so that wherever you paste it, the link will, the content on that block will always be the same. And so this is really useful for websites, like public facing websites with footer information like this, because then you're not constantly updating it wherever it's updated. And so I have these call out blocks placed on all of my sort of template landing pages. So it just really makes my life a lot easier. So that's definitely a tip there. And then even within the blocks themselves, just aesthetically, I like playing with color. Well, I like playing with weight a lot, like font weight. It's an easy way to kind of create a different look and feel within the content itself. For example, if I just made this not bold, looks terrible. If I make it bold again, looks good, right? So just play with italics and underlines and bold, and like really adds some dynamics to the actual space itself and just makes it look a lot more interesting. Again, I'm a big fan of like tongue-in-cheek copy, so I've got lots of like cute little notes written around the Notion bar and in all of my templates as well, like I'm a global clock.
Yeah. I love it.
So right now, if we head to my template gallery, it's sort of embedded you can find it in two places. And so this is where I've taken inspiration from e-commerce, essentially, because I've created collections, I would say, using the filtering system in Notion, and that you've got this is all of my new templates right here. And so that's the first thing that people see when they go onto the site, which is why that is dragged to the top as new, which means it's the default view that anyone viewing that page will see unless they click on another thing on another view. And I, again, love the GIFs, but on most of my front covers, I've used the GIF to just kind of a GIF recording to show how the template works a little bit, which is, I think, a fun way to just present something, especially if you've got like a portfolio. You could definitely use that trick to help you kind of organize things better. And a nice thing, again, a nice way to use toggles is for instructions, actually. So again, Notion isn't, sometimes there's a little bit of a learning curve for people in general. They're like, what's happening here? Do you only have 5 templates? Like, what's going on here? So if you open like the main toggle, there's another toggle to open which shows them, guess what? Oh, I thought this was a GIF. I'm so disappointed in myself. I thought it would have been a GIF, but never mind.
How will they know what to do?
Right? It's just an image. It's just an image. Anyways, I digress. I'm going to move into the main bit of I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that's interesting.
I saw that Gray noticed your the new timeline feature on the personal reading section.
Yes. I've created, we'll dive into all of them in a little bit, but I've created a personal reading roadmap, which is also on the main Notion template gallery on the actual Notion website, but I've also got a link to it on my website as well. But yeah, this is very cool. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that's of note on this page. Oh, these quick links. So what I was talking about with mobile, if you can imagine it, the flow for mobile would go something like this. So we start here, And can everyone see my cursor? Yeah, they can. I always wonder on these things. So you'd start here, and then you go all the way over here, and then you go all the way over here, and then you're like down here somewhere, and it's a pretty long scroll, but you just want to jump back to the top, or maybe you want to jump to a section quickly. What I've done is I've put the contents block in Notion inside these links. So for people scrolling on mobile, you can just kind of, if you imagine you're scrolling, you can just open that toggle and jump to the appropriate place quite quickly. So that's definitely a tip for optimizing Notion for mobile as well.
We had a couple questions that popped in. So one was from a nerdy Notioneer. Does the animation slow your page down? Have you noticed?
Yes, I have. It does slow it down a little bit, but I never know if it's generally being slowed down or if I just have terrible Wi-Fi.
Right.
Because everything's slow on my computer, but it does slow it down a little bit. But I actually had this conversation with myself in the shower today about whether or not I was going to remove the GIFs from the covers. I think it just, I don't know. It's a compromise that you have to deal with, essentially. And I think I can see that. Is the GIF loaded onto the cover? No. So if I go into my actual template gallery, again, just highlighting the background of the block to draw attention to things, I can show you how the GIFs play out. So yeah, you can have GIFs as icons, just GIFs everywhere. Basically. You can see, is this a GIF or is this an image? I think this is, yeah, this one's a GIF. So I'll just do a little walkthrough of my templates now, basically. But to answer that question, I upload the GIF as the first image of the page, just because it makes the most sense, really. Were there any other questions?
Right? Yes, there's another one that popped in. What's your design process for making sure a space has the aesthetic look you're going for, but is also effective, like 1 to 2 clicks to get to your most important things? I feel like you've covered some of it, but do you have kind of a design process or kind of way that you approach it?
I wish I had a strict design process, to be honest. A lot of the time, it's really me winging it. So I guess roughly what I tend to do is I'll make all of the things that I need to make the space work. So I'll focus on the UX or usability aspect of it first. Like I'll create all the roll-ups, I'll create all the tables, databases, just the things that I need. And then I'll think, okay, how can I make this a little bit prettier? And sometimes I'm forced into certain layouts because of the number of columns that I need to show or something like that. So in terms of designing for Notion, definitely focus on building the components first, the functional components, and then focus on the design after, because then what will happen is sometimes the design you had in mind just won't work for the things that you felt, because maybe the table will be cropped funny or just weird things like that. Yeah,
I think that's a great suggestion. Just like, what data do you actually need first, and then you can layer in the look and feel. That's great.
Exactly.
There's one more. What was your biggest challenge in getting the aesthetic you wanted in Notion?
Not enough color selection. That is my biggest gripe. Honestly, just not enough color selection. That is my only complaint, but I can make it work.
Yeah.
I tend to stick to pastels, but yeah, more color selection. Love that. Anyone else?
I think we're good. We're good for now. We covered
Nope.
the questions that have popped in so far. Yeah.
Cool. I'm just going to do like a quick tour of my template gallery, and we'll see where we end up. There are kind of like nuggets of cool things in each one. So again, I've got this database at the moment, which I made for Black History Month in the UK, of books about British Black history. And you'll notice that you don't see the database straight away because this is intended to be a public page. And so where this database is guess what? It's in the toggle. it's in the toggle. And then I've taken inspiration from the filters that you would expect to see on a normal book site, and then kind of incorporated it into the toggles here. So I've got a gallery view and a list view, depending on what whoever downloads this template prefers, essentially, and also a front-facing checkbox as well. So if you've read something, you can just check it and you can view it visually, which I think is quite fun. Don't know if there's any, I can't remember if these pages are particularly interesting or not. It took quite a while, and I just used the Save to Notion web clipper for this and just kind of went with whatever landed on the page, essentially. But yeah, it's just quite a nice, cute little database. Very simple project. And then if we go back, template gallery, into my advanced CRM Notion template. This is a template for like just remembering to call people, to put it quite simply. Like, I'm really bad at calling people. And so this template is probably one of my only like heavy formula templates that I have. I think formulas are cool. I just don't have a major use for them in my everyday life, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so this is the template itself. Again, all of the instructions are sort of hidden away in toggles just to not be scary. But it's weird going through these because this is one of my very early templates, and so it's nowhere near as aesthetic or as nice as my latest stuff. So I'm just looking at this now, I'm like, ugh. But I know it works. That's the thing. That's how I started out. I just like made things work, and then I ended up making them pretty in the process. So there's a lot I would change here. But anyways, how I've added personality into this is, if you don't know, you can use emojis in formulas, and you can also just have fun with the text that you expect them to show you. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, this is just a very functional template which tells you when it's time to reach out to someone based on the frequency that you want to reach out to them, essentially. So it'll calculate the day you last contacted them and the frequency and tell you when the next call is due. If today is past your next call due, it'll pop this time to reach out message in there, which is cool.
Awesome.
So going back, and all of these templates from my website, thenotionbar.com, or if you wanted to just go straight to the download links, there's a bunch of them at gumroad.com/thenotionbar. So they're all there. So yes, the next one is my aesthetic student template, which I will sort of, I hate when the sidebar just doesn't cooperate. Come on, there we go. Pop out. There we go. This is in my paid template section. Paid templates. This I had a lot of fun making. And so I made a template which I wish I could have had when I was a college student or a uni student. So much fun. I would have had people pay me for my notes just because it's this good. So I really went to town here with this one. A quick way to make your Notion space look more aesthetic is to pick a theme. Currently my favorite theme is this kind of plant-based pale green vibe, and so that's what I've gone for here on this template. And then even just like fun things at the top, like I put in a text block which tells you to like focus. And so in terms of usability, you can set your goals at the top here, and then you've got kind of these images which of course you can replace quite easily with your own images. And you can the cool thing about Notion templates is that you can transform the look and feel of them completely when you duplicate them yourself, which I think is so cool. And so you've got this section for each of your classes, and I've just got these very like serene sort of front cover images, which I think this time are the headers, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah. So the header images are the front covers. If you think of it a bit like a notebook, so if you had a notebook for each class, that would be the front cover of your notebook in that gallery view. And then these are all self-referencing databases. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar, but essentially you can set up database templates in your databases, and you can fill them with your landing page. And so this template is called new class. And so I am filtering this for the class relation, which is connected to the calendar at the bottom, contains new, like whatever I end up calling this new page. And so what that does is that all of the tasks related to this class will automatically populate in this table every time I add a new midterm, every time I add a new set of notes, every time I add a new reading. And so this really is a notebook for each class, essentially. So I think that's really cool way to use Notion. Like self-referencing filters don't get enough love, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And then down here we've got the locker. And so another thing which I really like to do with Notion is that I try and create physical spaces within it. And I'll show you my memory box a bit later. In this template, we've got the locker aspect, which is really cool. And so in this, you've got a main calendar where, well, none of these dates are active at the moment. So let's say there we go, in September, if you can see all of your readings coming up, all of your lectures, all of your everything. And these are all put onto the calendar, essentially, and you can relate them to the class, or you can put them back in your notebook, essentially. And I actually probably need to update this template to hide the database, the columns,
properties. Yeah.
Properties. Thank you, Uri. So excited to do that. But any of these, I've got a landing page for, like, let's say you had lecture notes here, and then if you wanted to say you had a piece of homework, I don't know, do homework, I can turn this into a homework task. Hopefully it still works for me. I haven't done this in a little bit. Turn into the page. That's what I want. Homework. This is homework template. There we go. And now, just like magic, this will appear in the homework section. Hopefully. Boom, there we go. Now you've got homework in your homework section. So a lot of creating templates is also just thinking through the workflow of the person who will be using it, like what. So if you kind of map out a user journey in your head, you can place things in the correct spaces for that end user, essentially. So yeah, this is just like a cute little like locker system, you know, because you're a student and you have a locker, something like that. So this is a pay template. Another pay template I have, for the last 15 minutes, probably I'll go over the happiness bar. But another pay, oh yes, the Notion zine. This was so much fun. Probably one of my most favorite things I've built within Notion. But essentially, I'm a big lover of pop culture and just like magazines and like fashion and blogging. And I love picking up physical magazines every time I go on a long journey, essentially. And I really miss all of the layouts, just the layouts that you get in magazines. And I hate that nowadays, because everything's on web, it's just a single scroll. It's just a single scroll. And like there are no columns, there are no cool images placed about. And so what I've done is I've hacked Notion and navigation to literally create 10 templates with magazine style page layouts. And it's just so much fun. Like the way it works is that, of course, you can use each layout individually and just like duplicate it if you have a newsletter that you want to share with someone or like anything like that. Or you can use the whole template as it's set up with the navigation that will show you, page navigation built in to create a 10-page thing, if that makes sense. And so yeah, like this is the first page, this is the next page, and you'll just notice how just by playing around with color and imagery and even the quote blocks, you can create something that looks so cool. And like
yeah, people are stoked in the chat. We're very excited.
I can see that. But yeah, this is not an expensive template either. I only put a price on it because it's 10 templates, which did take quite a bit of time for myself. But yeah, just this I love. It's black and white, and then you've got this pop of pink over here, which I think is just gorgeous. So again, if you are in tune to color theory, you can just you can really go wild with it. Like even on the caption here, the whole caption isn't gray, like part of it is pink. So like doing things like picking accent colors can really make a space, like a boring space, like pop, essentially. Yeah, I just walking.
You're underselling yourself, Esme says.
Oh, I'm underselling myself. I mean, Gumroad is technically pay what you can. So if
you can pay more if you'd like.
But thank you. This is just like a really fun little project that I made. I think I'm aware of time. I'm gonna go. Like I love some of these imagery. This imagery, like this is all taken from Unsplash as well. I was just trying to remember if there was anything specifically in these which I wanted to show off. So yeah, you can see kind of how the green echoes in with it. And now you want to kill your WordPress site. Okay. Just don't send the WordPress agents after me. That would be great. So yeah, I really like this layout. I've hacked the quote. Well, that's not even a quote block. This is just a normal block. And then I've created like a mini column on top. And then you've got this really nice layout down here with text, and you can fill this side up with images, like whatever you want, essentially. Wow, people really loving the Notion zine.
Yes.
Didn't expect this, but that's cool. Oh, and another popular technique, which you'll see in a lot of magazines, is they'll do kind of a highlighted text section to like highlight a specific point. And I've kind of created that section over here, essentially. So that's over there. Yeah, that is the Notion zine. I'm going to go through a few more just kind of my smaller templates. Or again, all of my templates are on my website for you to have a look at. And then I'll go through the happiness bar, which I'm so excited for everyone to get involved with. It's kind of it's a community-led project, essentially, and you'll see why in a second. I'm just trying to think. Which one I want to go through. Perhaps I'll focus on the paid one, since people don't tend to see the behind. Oh, and if you want to see how I turned a real life article into kind of a Notion zine-esque type layout, I took like a 10,000 word Verge article or something like that, and I zinified it essentially here. I also have a travel bucket list template, which is a lot of fun. You will have a look at this now. Yeah, I think this is the one I'll show off before moving on to the happiness bar. But I miss traveling so much.
Yeah.
And so
stir crazy.
What I've done, yeah. What I've done is that I've created a travel bucket list template with all of the countries, well, all of the countries in the world, and you can essentially add countries to your bucket list. And you can also see how, like, what percentage of the world you've visited at the same time, which I think is quite cool. So is here. So at the top, oh, first of all, this is that math language, and the name escapes me right now, but it's using inline formulas in Notion. And I use Red Gregory. I use her basically for all of my formula stuff. Sorry, Danny. And she had a really nice guide on her website where she showed some like cool ways that you can format the inline text box or like text boxes on Notion to create cool effects like this. And so that's how I've used that here. And again, I've kind of chosen purple as the accent color for this. It kind of matches the GIF. And so, yeah, up here, this is actually my travel bucket list. So if you're interested in seeing what countries I want to go to, download this template. So down here, I've used the Kanban format actually in here to represent the regions of the world, or like each continent. So it'll load. It's a bit of a long load because there are 205 countries in this world. But essentially, you can just go through this and you can add things to your bucket list. So, like, let's say I wanted to visit Abkhazia. It's just going to show up in my bucket list here. Any day now.
Looks like you're already making sales while you're waiting for Notion to load.
I'm not against it. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate the support. Like, genuinely. That's how I fund keeping it. Makes it worth doing this, basically. So if you want to fund me putting out more content, then I really appreciate the sales. So yeah, this is, you can now see that, oh no, so this is organized by region first. You can see all the countries that I want to visit in Africa, and then in Asia, and then Europe, etc. And then you can just check them off as you go. And what you can actually do, a sneaky little thing that I put into this, is that I created a little trip planner template. So, for example, if you create a new trip down here, I'm gonna delete all of the data in this one and then show you how it populates each time. So yeah, you can relate this trips database to your bucket list database. And so you can just like plan trips from your bucket list, essentially. And so, oh no, maybe I don't want to delete. Okay. I forget that this is a live template and like people might be trying to download this new trip, but it's all good. So, oh yeah, so GIFs are also really useful for like instructional purposes as well. I know like the real Notion use it on their website a lot. If I click on new trip template, it's just going to populate here. Boom. And so all of the stuff that you need to get sorted for a trip, you just have it ready to go. You can invite people to this page as well, people you're traveling with. You can start making plans. You can add things to it. I've intentionally left this not very built out, as I know that each trip is going to be very different, right? So, and again, you can customize each template as you wish, so that each time it duplicates, it's specific to your needs, essentially. Yeah, that is the travel bucket list. Again, go have a look at all of my other templates. I have so many, I've like lost count now. I've got also so many in the works. One I thought of today was making a holiday card using Notion. So you know how you send out like virtual cards to like people, but just having like a really cute Notion page, like here's what I've been up to this year. Here's
That's
a cute
a great
Christmas
idea.
Yeah. So that's one I've got in the pipeline at the moment. If people also have template ideas that they want me to make, just tweet me at the Notion bar and like I'll get it done. But I'll take you to the Happiness Bar website first. So if you type in thehappinessbar.com right now, this exists in the universe. And essentially what I've done is I've created a digital gratitude journal. And so I know I was inspired by this because I've seen so many people like post all of their journals that like either post about journaling or like post the really cute journals that like they use on a daily basis. And I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I don't like physical books very much. And so I started this for me. And then I thought, why don't I make this for other people, basically? And so this is a community-led journal. And what I'll show you in a minute is how I've put in self-care tips from other people have sent in to me, including Marie. And so each day you'll be able to like open it and see a self-care tip from someone around the world. And so if you don't do anything after this video, tweet me your self-care tip and you will also be in the gratitude journal. I've nearly filled up the month of January. So if I could fill up the others as well, that would be great.
Sure we could do that. Yeah.
There are 340 of you on this video right now. So tweet me your self-care tip, especially if you're a small business. Like this is a great way to get like visibility for you and like people. I link to each Twitter profile as well. And so it's kind of like a discovery thing as well, just like seeing what people are up to as well. But anyway, so the gratitude journal, this is the website. It's on pre-order at the moment with 4 tiers of pricing. The idea is that I'm trying to get as many quotes as I can before November 20th, which is when I'm gonna like actually release it. But if you're an eager beaver and you want to get it for a cheaper price, I'm gonna sell it at $9.99 for like the first batch of pre-orders, and then once it reaches that stage, then I'll go to $14.99 and then $19.99 and then $24.99. So if you want to get in early and get it at a cheaper price, I suggest doing it now, basically. So I'm going to be marketing this like very heavily. So yeah, this is just like a really fun journal. The features in it are the self-care tips that I just mentioned. I'm also conscious of the fact that I hate how rigid journals are in that the paper ones, like you're forced into whatever their structure is. And so I was conscious in creating like blank space. You know what, I'm just going to skip to the journal. It's probably easier to explain, but the website is there for you to like explore and like learn a bit more. But you people on this are seeing a world exclusive of the happiness journal.
You have multiple people telling you to raise your prices, FYI. So I think that's your homework after this this weekend.
Okay. I was just trying to be nice, but if that's what you say,
I think people are excited to support you because these save people tons of time, and I'm sure they're happy to support independent creators, and that way you can continue to create more awesome stuff and put it out into the world. So
Noted. That is my homework. Got it. Yeah, welcome to the happiness bar. I love this. I'm obsessed with this GIF. Like, it's the GIF header, so into it. So you're just like, and again, with all Notion templates, you could really make this like you, essentially. So you can change the icons, you can change the colors, you can even change what it says right here. So first thing you do is it says welcome home. You can change this image here. You can just start here. And this is kind of takes you step by step on a little journey of setup and everything that I'm about to walk you through right now. Another design tip for Notion is create motif blocks. And so you'll notice that throughout the space, I've got this sort of pale yellow call out with the cloud icon, and then like just black text, and then the herb emoji at the end, and like the first line is bold. Like, that's just a consistent design motif throughout the journal. So I've thought really well into that. My new other favorite thing are multi-level toggles. I didn't realize you could do this until I was falling asleep and just did it by accident. I was like, oh, this could be kind of fun. And then I've mixed it with, again, playing with font style and weight. And so I've made this italic, but where the UX aspect really comes in is that because this whole block is in a color and there's white space in between each block, it makes it really easy to just like read, essentially, because the information is spaced out. So the white space serves a usability purpose, and also it just looks really nice as well.
That's great. This looks really great.
Thank you. Oh, we haven't even started yet. So yeah, this is the happiness bar. And so you've got blank space where you can do like whatever you want in here. Like, this is really just a space to just whatever. It's for you. And then over here in your journal, one of the first things that you'll do is that you'll make a list for everything that you're manifesting this year. And you can have it, and again, usability. I thought this had potential to get very long, depending on how many things you are manifesting this year, which is why it's in a toggle, essentially. But if you want to keep it open, you can, but you don't have to if it's just a bit excessive. And then, so you've got your manifestation station, and then you've got your happiness station, which I love. Like, everyone has a bad day every once in a while, and so this is just a space where you can put things that really serve you. So like, what serves your mind? Is it learning a new skill? Your body? Is it eating a healthy meal? Your soul? Is it like calling your parents? You can, so whenever you're having a bad day, you can just pop these things in here and you can like remind yourself. But then again, you can also pop photographs. You can also pop videos that inspire you. I've currently embedded Fantasy by Mariah Carey and Never Too Much by Luther Vandross, because those are two of my favorite songs of all time, in here, just to like, I don't know if it'll play. Okay, yeah. So
Yes.
jam, absolute jam. I love it. So that is your happiness station. Yeah. So like this is just meant to be fun. And again, this is the memory box, which I personally think is one of my, they're all my favorite bits. But do you ever, I don't know what it is, but I have a terrible like long-term memory because I'm just always focusing on what I'm doing next. And so what I've done is that using self-referencing filters and databases in all of your journal entries, whenever you've watched a TV show, whenever you've seen a film, whenever you've visited somewhere, if you've had like a really big win that day, those will all populate here. And so whenever you're like, oh, what have I done this year? Like, you can refer back to this section, your memory box, and just be like, what did I even do this year? And next time someone asks you, oh, have you got any, do you know what I should watch next? You won't go,
The Queen's Gambit.
The Queen's Gambit. Everyone should watch that. It's amazing.
So good.
It's so good, especially if you're like a little bit nerdy, so into it. But yeah, but I don't know what it is, but I always forget when someone asks me like, oh, what are you watching? Or like, what have you watched? I'm like, I don't know. I've watched so many things, but I can't remember. So I don't know if anyone else has that problem. Comment if you do, but yeah, that's what this section is for. And if you have really good days, what I've done is that in each journal entry, there's a little tick box to like tell you like, is this a best day ever? And then all of your really good days are going to end up in this memory box section over here. And yeah, lots of like cute little micro copy, like dotted throughout. I think micro copy is so underrated personally.
Yeah. It's like little messages to yourself, right? Just to kind of anchor yourself.
Exactly. And then I'm going to talk about the main calendar view and all of the funness in here in a second. But just some instructions. It tells you can choose between like day, weeks, months. You can view everything at once if you are that kind of a person. I am not, but if you are really just trying to get into it, you can view everything at once. I just put the day view at the top here. Ooh. There we go. And then, and down here is just a little instruction of reviewing the self-care tips, which I'm gonna walk you through in a second. And so over here, again, toggles, because I hate being overwhelmed. And I know other people do too. Using the magic of just the filtering system in Notion, based on the dates of each row item. So this is currently in the all months view, but there's also functionality built in where each day will relate to a month or a quarter or a week, etc. And through that, you can track your sleep for each day, and then you can also track how much sleep you're getting over a period of months, over a period of weeks, and you can just really, I think that's quite a cool thing to see, like which months did I sleep the most in, and it's probably the months where you like weren't really doing much, and then you'll see there's probably a correlation between your really productive months, and if you look at the mood boards here and the amount of sleep you're getting. If someone finishes this journal and wants to do that really cool like experiment, like tell me, I will tweet you. I will tweet about you. So into it. But yeah, this will automatically filter as the first view because it's the top one for like what's happening this month, what's happening this the quarter one isn't a filtered view just because there are only 4 quarters, right? So it didn't really make sense. And you can kind of click into each one and create the new pages, which I'll show you. So if I click on the new week template, it will auto populate that week with the habits that you are going to fill in for yourself, and just some prompts, just very lightweight prompts, essentially, that you can just you can report back on the week as a whole if you need to. If it's the best week ever, I suppose you could also flag it for your memory box at the top, but that's mostly reserved for days. Mm-hmm. You don't need to put in the hours of sleep section here. It wouldn't make sense because it's not really going to be recorded anywhere anyways. So I wish you could, that's another level of hiding properties, is that I wish you could hide properties for different types of pages, because that's a restriction I had making this.
Could you do hiding it if empty, and then on the weeks you could put 0, like put a filler?
No, because then for each day, it's always going to be empty straight away, and I would need this. I would still need this to always be there for the day view. So I was like,
could you put 0 in the day view and hide it in the others?
Oh, yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Thank you,
Sneaky
Marie.
workaround.
Thank you. Love that. Okay, that's going to be my other piece of homework after this. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so this is kind of your little just overarching, like, what's happening. But I have so lovingly created prompt templates for each new day entry, each new week entry, each new month entry, each new quarter entry. And so with the day view, you have an AM and you have a PM journal. These are just, I fill this out on my phone, quite frankly. I've been user testing this and stress testing this. This will take you like 2 minutes each evening or each morning, and it just to answer these questions here. And then, so you'll have a list of questions, like even fun things like, did you dream of anything? Like a mini dream journal. I always forget what I dream about. So you can put that here, and really digging into like why the things on your list are important to you at that time. And so just getting you to kind of stop and think about why you want to get X, Y, and Z done that day. And then at the end of each each list of questions, you'll also have kind of a mini action center. So your do for the morning is recording how many hours of sleep you've had that morning. And your do's for the evening time are asking yourself, like, was this an incredible day? Like, you can make it a best day ever. You can also record your mood for that day. I have a bunch of adjectives already here, but you can add more if you want to. This is just a list to get you started. And the idea is that it's really cool because you can, over time, your calendar view will just look really multicolored and like really fun and just like really cool to look at. So you can track your mood, and then in your memory box, you'll open this and you'll, just by hitting the new button, you'll add in if you had any big wins that day, anything you watched, anything you read, listened to, and those will all populate into the larger memory box at the beginning. And then also at the bottom, because I know sometimes you just want a long form blabber about your day and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they broke up with me and like all that stuff. You just want to put that. You can like just write a bit more about the day, like the day in this blank space. And you can kind of see this already in action here on January 1st. And so another thing about this Notion is that I've actually set up days starting from now. So you don't have to wait until the 1st of January. Once this goes live properly, but get your pre-sales in. Next week you can start journaling straight away, all the way back through to kind of end of November time. But the self-care tips will kick in at January 1st, essentially, unless I get more than 365, and then I'll have space. So yeah, you can see how it's populated already on the 1st of January, and I have used the show when not empty property view or setting here. So you'll notice how on all of the other pages, this films and TV relation doesn't show, but only because it's in the memory box down here will it show. And it will show, and you can also rate the things that you watch as well, /do. And I'm gonna do something that's gonna scare a lot of people. I'm gonna open the property. This is what drives this whole thing. And I'm gonna close it because it's already causing me anxiety. But yeah. That's what drives this whole thing, essentially. And so digging into the week template, for kind of the longer time period templates, I've added a space for habits as well. So the idea is, it's in the instructions, but the idea is that these prompts are yours to change. You can edit them as much as you want. You can add more questions in, you can add images in, you can do whatever you want. But especially for these longer time period templates, you can add in the habits that are specific to you. And then that way, each time you create a new week or a new month, etc., the things that are specific to you will auto-populate there, essentially. So that's just the new week, and then the new month. Pay bills, rent, blog. Those are just some starter ideas. And then the quarter one, I can't remember if I don't think this is pretty much just the same as the month format. But I know the bit that everyone's really excited about is the love from the happiness bar. And that is what I'm calling all of you who are getting involved with this project. So please do tweet me like right now during this crowdcast, or immediately after this crowdcast if you'd like to be featured. So each day, the aim is that each day you'll be able to click into this and you'll have all of these self-care tips from people from around the world, essentially. Like, how cool is that?
It's pretty rad.
Like some, hey, there's Benjamin. You'll be reading self-care tips from all of these people around the world, and your self-care tip will be read by people all around the world. Like, how cool is that? I was originally going to make 365 self-care tips, and then I realized, when on earth did I become an expert on self-care? So I realized, hey, why don't I just ask people, and then they can all be part of this like really beautiful like projects, just sharing happiness, essentially. Someone, Olaf, I think he's in the chat. He actually posted his on Facebook. Or if you want to email me as well, that works too. hi@thenotionbar.com. If you're not on Twitter, if you want to get involved, and I can link to whatever you want me to link to. I can't remember which one is yours, Marie. It's in here somewhere. but yeah, essentially, so you journal, and then each day you look forward to opening like a fun, like A, discovering someone new that you probably hadn't heard of before. B, maybe discovering a new self-care tip from someone on Twitter that you do know, and like C, you just get to like journal a little bit. So it makes it fun to want to come back and journal, because you know each day that you journal, you're going to open and find something else new that's new. And so yeah, that is. Does anyone have any questions? I know I went over a little bit.
Yeah, there's a bunch of questions that have popped in already. So
Okay.
I mean, some of them might be more relevant to like past stuff, but we'll dive in anyway.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of an echo, so I'm going to mute you while I'm talking, and then I will unmute you. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Oh, there is a funny echo. Oh, okay. I'm gonna unmute you for a sec anyway. Okay, so would you mind sharing the personal side of things in Notion? How do you use it to organize everything?
Oh,
Hang on.
Ooh,
sorry.
my Wi-Fi.
Come back.
Wi-Fi. Okay. We're back. Okay, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I can show you what my personal area looks like. It's not very built out because I've spent so much time building out other templates for other people. But again, this is really themed. I'm West African, so I'm Ghanaian and Nigerian. Shout out to all my Africans in the chat. And so I've got this really like beautiful like header image that I found on the internet, and then I've got kind of all of my bits that I use Notion for. Honestly, my delivery, I don't have two crowdcasts open. Okay, I can unconnect my mic if you like. Maybe that will be better.
Testing. I can hear myself.
Testing. Okay.
Does it sound better now for folks?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me though? Yes? Okay, cool. There shouldn't be an echo with this out. But the things that I use Notion for in my personal life are tracking online deliveries. I like to shop and I like clothes and I like it. Anyways, so I have this is actually a template in my gallery where you can track all of your deliveries and where you bought them from, and then Okay, I'm back. And in true e-commerce style, oh gosh, you're going to see what I've spent money on this year. But you can have like a little store directory at the moment. And so these are my open orders, and then I can view which websites I've spent the least and most money on so far. It's gonna be Amazon. There we go. I bought a Kindle back in for myself for my birthday. But like, yeah, these are all the stores I spend money on and how much I've spent. So that's how I use Notion. But honestly, the thing I use Notion for religiously, I know like Alex, a Notioneer, tweeted about this a little while ago as well, is my shopping list. I will never use a paper shopping list ever again. I refuse. I absolutely refuse. But essentially, I use this is really mobile optimal as well. So I take this list with me every time I go food shopping. And what I do every Sunday, it's a ritual of mine now. I will put down everything that I need and as I'm walking, and there's a section for refills, so things that you know you'll always need each week. Love falafel, chickpeas are life. As I'm walking around the supermarket and I put things in my basket, I can just untick. It's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. But yeah, those are the two big ways I actually use Notion. Also, there's a little daily quote generator from Alex, an Oceaneer, over here. I've just filtered it. He's got instructions on his website. He's fab. Where it's like show tick is checked. So that will just populate on my homepage. I haven't filled out 365 quotes in it yet, but that's the idea. And then I have a little daily routine here. I know Stacey Ann posted this in her crowdcast last week as well, where it's just like things I like to get done in the morning, things I like to get, like things I do during the day, etc. The rest of these are all really complicated databases, but I haven't honestly maintained them in months, so I will get back to that at some point. Yeah, this is my Notion cribs, essentially.
Oh, hang on. Oh, there we go. You're back. All good.
Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, there's a few more. It's possibly too soon, but do the other changes besides timeline view make you want to do some other changes to your templates?
Hiding database properties, that is 100% the big thing. I need to go back through and do that to all of them. I just haven't had the time yet.
So still early. There's still exploration to be done on timeline view stuff. I know you had that timeline view of the book library that we had talked about. So that was one use case I saw you exploring.
Yeah, and that's a free template if people want to explore that. Well, pay what you can template, since people want me to raise my prices.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
available to download.
Gray was asking, since we don't have the built-in media libraries yet, do you have a DIY version you use for icons, GIFs, etc. for your templates? What's your sort of process for that? Yeah.
I have a very meticulous file system on my. I just have a MacBook Air. I just file everything, and I know where I need to go to for icons. And even when I'm tweeting content about each of my templates, each of my templates has its own folder with GIFs and images, so I can just reuse it, essentially.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Gray was saying, I don't see many template buttons in your design. Is that not a feature that you use very much?
I just haven't had a use case for it, to be honest. That's just, like, I do know how to use them, and I have used them in the past. I just haven't needed to, essentially. Oh, actually, I do have a use case for this, and this isn't a live template, but this is just a bit of consulting work that I did for someone. So they needed to they paid me to create something that they were going to sell. And so I think it's in demos. Yeah. This is just something that I haven't maintained this very much, but these are sort of mini client projects that I've worked on. Worksheet template. This is the one. So this person had a worksheet for kind of how to start a business. And so what they did was that they gave me a bunch of copy, and then I had to make it cute and turn it into a Notion page. So yeah, these are steps on how to set up a business. But I suppose the concept was for each of their client, they'd send them one of these pages, but to create a page, I mean, sure, they could have just duplicated the block, but for each page, they could just create a new worksheet, essentially. And so I think that's the only time I've ever used the template button for anything substantial. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Gray was asking about, can any reader alter the layout or can you lock it? And I think that was with your zines. And so I'm assuming like if it's a publicly available thing, nobody can alter it, but it's only once they've duplicated it and put it in their own space that they can edit, right? Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
And then Marie and Francis, how do
you
go?
Any other questions?
Marie and Francis, how do you go about creating your design systems for your Notion? And so I remember we sort of talked about this in the beginning, this idea that we maybe lean toward some principles or aesthetics, or let's start with the functionality first. And then obviously you've got your sort of design styles and those principles, like you said, having a central theme, even like a color theme, keeping it breathable and airy. And so every page is a little bit different, but it seems like there's almost like these principles that you lean on in terms of how you approach the design.
Yeah, definitely. I've got some post-its of things which I wanted to talk about, but I think we've done all of them. But yeah, just keeping it breathable and honestly take inspiration from anywhere. Like I love taking inspiration from pop culture and like fashion bloggers, because they always create really like cute and aesthetic products. And so just bring that in, bring things that you love into your Notion and use that to inspire you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's fun because you can tell that you know, all of your templates and you know, parts of your space, they feel very Francis, like they have a sort of unique, you know, you can kind of tell they're sort of recognizable. And that's what I love, that you can really take it and make it yours. And so, you know, I encourage people, even if they're downloading your templates, to kind of make it your own, right? Maybe you're using different fonts, maybe you're using different colors, but just encouraging people to be a little bit more playful with their spaces.
Yeah, definitely.
Love it. So remember, folks, to check out, obviously, the notionbar.com, lots of free templates there. And then if you really like the templates that you saw today, the zines, the happiness bar, right? Go to thehappinessbar.com, go to Twitter or email Francis hi@thenotionbar.com to send her your self-care tips. There's already some awesome tips in your Twitter thread that I've seen. So it's super inspiring. So definitely help crowdsource this. I think it's going to be full of some amazing information. Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can you freeze
thank you so much.
So I just saw like another last minute question pop in. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you could lock a page or not, but it's not like you can, I think, lock individual sections.
Yeah. Not yet.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for everyone who stayed this long too. It was a great session. And Francis, I'm super inspired. I know you're going to be raising your prices over the weekend. You're going to be adding those little zeros to your daily agenda template so you can kind of hide properties and such. And so, yeah, what's next for you other than the happiness bar? What's sort of like the next stuff you're going to be working on? Your holiday card?
I've got a little list somewhere. So this is the thing. I need a second brain because I'm bad at recalling information. Let me just pull up my little list that I work on by myself, if I can find it. So other things that I'm going to be working on are, I'm going to be working on my personal site. So revamping my portfolio template and also kind of selling V2 of whatever I end up making. I'm also going to be creating a selling a digital conference template, which I've already done a couple for just as a volunteer for a couple of digital conferences this year. It's a really great way to organize speakers and social media and like sessions, like which sessions do the speakers speak at, like how can I follow them on social media. So it's a really good conference resource. Other things, I want to make something that's a bit more lightweight and related to self-care. So not a full-on happiness bar journal, but just something really lightweight that people can put into their own spaces. I also want to make something that's based on, like, centered around the environment and just how to be more eco-friendly and like personal challenges that we can all set ourselves. And a new thing which I've just started incorporating onto my site is the podcast bar.
I saw that.
So on the podcast bar, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Actually, I think I binge listened to the Indie Hackers podcast whilst I was making the happiness bar. It's so good. So insightful. So I've started just letting it load the podcast bar, which every now and again, maybe I'm gonna try and aim for weekly. Every time I listen to something really great, I'm gonna sort of post my 2 cents in it here. And this is a really neat way to use the preview function on the Notion cards for gallery view. So if you're not using an image, you can preview the text that's already in there. But I'm just going to be posting sort of my 2 cents. I listened to like Ali Abdul's podcast, Not Overthinking, the other day, which is amazing. And it was just a really great inspirational episode on just being multifaceted and just like not having to like confine yourself to be one thing. And so I posted about that in there if anyone wants to go read it. If anyone on here has a podcast and wants me to like write about their podcast on here, I love listening to podcasts, and I don't know how many times I can say that word now.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all these different pieces. I feel like we'll probably have to do a follow-up at some point and turn into even other pieces, because I feel like we could probably talk for hours about many different use cases for Notion.
Yeah. I think something that's probably a bit different with my stuff is I'm not a productivity guru. So I see, like, you've got your kind of traditional productivity gurus who are like out there putting out Notion content, and I would never think of a use case for me to use the Eisenhower matrix in my entire life. Like, I like making things look pretty. Like, that is like literally, I like thinking logically and making things look pretty. And I also love like fashion and music and all of these things. So that's what I try and bring into my work.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell it's got your own distinct stamp and style on it. So they are beautiful. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on today. And again, definitely check out the Notion Bar and the Happiness Bar and the Podcast Bar by Frances.
Yeah, and send me your self-care tips. I wanna fill this calendar up. It'll be really cool to see what you come up with.
Amazing. Thank you so much again, Frances. And I hope everyone has an awesome Notion-filled weekend.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.